Congratulations on this.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming out.
Michael, I want to start with you because I get the sense that this is A, a very personal story for me, and B, you are actually still in a relationship despite having made this movie. Confirm both these things to me and walk me through the kind of genesis of how this came about.
Both of these things are true, yes. When I had the idea for this film and decided I was going to write it, I told my partner, and she said, "This is upsetting to you." But then she said, "But it's a good idea, you should do it." And at that point, I think we were probably approaching 10 years of being together. And now the film is out, and we're approaching 17 years together. And it's actually, thank you very much. It's lovely. I mean, she was the first person to read every single draft. The idea of having a sex scene where people stuck together was her idea. She has this film is in so many ways as much hers as it is mine. So it's been such a beautiful process to go through together.
And this sort of originally started with you talking to Dave about a different project, and then you passed the script to this to him. I'm just curious for the both of you, at what point did you sort of decide, hey, now we should do this and we should do this together? Like, this is going to be a joint project for us.
Yeah, so I met Shabks about this other scripts that he had written that I knew I wasn't going to write for, but I just really liked the quality of writing. And during that meeting, we bought over horror films and said, I have this script that's been sitting around a long time, I think you might like it. He's putting the script together, and I was just blown away by, first and foremost, just these horror set pieces that were so innovative. It was like nothing I had ever seen before. And I turned to Alison and I was like, I think we should do this together because our real relationship could, we figured could help inform these characters on the screen. We've been together for so long, and hopefully when you're watching us, you feel like some history there, some weight to the relationship.
Yeah, so then Dave forwarded the script to me along with Michael Shanks' full name, short film Rebooted, which, though tonally not at all the same as Together, it was just like a great showcase for Michael as a visual effects expert, which was important. I feel like we read the script, we both just flipped for it, and like Dave said, the horror set pieces were so wild, and also the relationship story at the core of it. I loved the exploration of this long-term couple and fears of monogamy and codependence, but it's always that question mark when you're working with a first-time filmmaker and the script is great. You're like, can they pull it off? And I do think watching Rebooted was a thing. It's so magical. Google it. I'm sure you can watch it online. And it really gave us the confidence in Michael Shanks. And as a first-time director, Michael's the most confident first-time director I've ever worked with. So prepared, storyboarding everything. There was never a moment, once we signed on to do this, there was never a moment where we were worried that it was, out of his hands.
Everybody talks about the relationship between comedy and horror because these are both things that tend to have give you a shock to the system. Usually, you have a scare or a laugh, like it's an involuntary reaction. But there's a million rom-coms out there, and there's not a lot of romantic horror films. I mean, first off, you have to call them rom-horror, which sounds horrible, right? And then second, like The Fly, right? Only Lovers Left Alive, maybe King Kong, The Rental.
Bram Stoker's Dracula, that's that kind of romantic to fall through.
Yeah, Nosferatu, you could say the same thing, I guess. But it's not really like a genre that, it's not a lot, there are not a lot of examples like this out there. So I am wondering, was it that kind of sort of outrageous attempt to tackle something that's very relatable and universal that kind of pulled you guys into this specifically?
Yeah, I mean, that is sort of what I love about horror as a genre in general. Like, some of the best horror movies are ones that are examining these real-life, very human themes, sometimes even really heavy themes, in ways that make it super digestible and almost fun to watch, even when it's hardcore horror that's not especially fun. I think reading this script, it was such a masterful mix of tones that honestly going into it, I wasn't even thinking about it. I wasn't like, whoa, how are we gonna flip between drama into comedy? I think it was so well written, we just got it. Like, all three of our sensibilities
in terms of it being relatable, I mean, part of the comedy does hopefully come from this long-term couple bickering in situations that are really insane. And so it's like we fall into this weird cave, and she's like, "Why do you have a lighter?" And I'm just like, "We have bigger fucking issues here."
You can't turn it off. We've been together for a long time. You can't turn it off.
But we never approached the comedy as like, you know, this isn't a jokey movie. It's not like we're like throwing out a bunch of one-liners. Rather, it's like, you know, we're in these bizarre situations, and we wanted to approach it as real and as grounded as possible, as if this stuff was actually happening to us. And I think and hope our real reactions kind of bring the comedy.
And to that point, like when writing it, when I sat down to write this, I thought, like, I'm gonna write Hereditary. I'm gonna write this insane, so dark, so crazy movie. And then as I was just trying to be honest about like what myself and my partner would be like in this situation, it was kind of impossible to avoid. Like, oh, there is comedy here. Like, as you were saying, it's not like bits, but like if you had cut your arms apart, I would want a snack. You know, I would probably be sitting there and just be like, okay, we've got shit to deal with, but first I just need a little bit of protein right now.
You gotta keep your blood sugar up when you're dealing with two bodies melding together because of the supernatural curse. Come on, it's horror 101. Remind me, how long have you two been a couple?
Over 13 years.
So, do you guys think that you could have done this movie together 5 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that, when you were that young in the relationship together?
That's an interesting question.
My answer was absolutely.
I think it's good that we had the ramp up to it.
Agreed.
And I also think, you know where my mind actually went? I mean, this is honest, this is the truth. My mind actually went to this press tour. As we've been out promoting the movie, we are talking about our relationship more than we ever have. And I think in that way, I feel happy that we've been together so long and work on our own stuff and do that. Like, it terrifies me for other couples when I see like actor couples that have been together 6 months and then they go on a big tour just being like, we're in love, everything's great. I'm like, they're doomed, oh my God. So honestly, that is what I was thinking about. But I mean, yes, we've worked on stuff 5 years, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is our 5th collaboration, and I don't think we could have just ripped the Band-Aid and done this movie.
Sure.
This is interesting. This movie, as you've seen, it's very intimate. You know, that final sequence of us merging, that was us for an entire day, naked, genital to genital. Would have been weird with anyone else. Other days, you know, were the saw scene, we were literally attached to each other with a prosthetic for the entire day. And, you know, trying not to drink too much water to avoid frequent bathroom trips, but it was inevitable, and one of us would go and take the other one with. And I just remember a moment where I was standing over her, attached to her, watching her pee, and thinking, like, we could not have done this with anyone else. And then I handed her some toilet paper and we went back to work.
I mean, the scene of you guys together at the end, we're gonna get to that in a second. I feel like we need to ramp up to that question.
Sure.
But let's talk a little bit about filming the hallway scene, because I'm given to understand there was a contortionist involved, so it's not all jam. Right. But it looks like it's a really physical scene that you guys had to kind of like literally throw yourselves into. How was it like a 2-day shoot for that, right?
Well, yes, we had a 21-day shoot schedule overall, and which is insane for a movie like this. So every day was like 3 to 5 scenes we had to knock them on the head, and then the hallway scene like blocked out 2 full days. So a tenth of the whole shoot was just that one scene. And we did the very first take with Dave being dragged along the ground and having to do all this stuff. And we have it on camera that we called cut, and Dave said,
this is gonna be a long fucking day. Sorry, I was having PTSD thinking about it.
And once the first day was kind of mostly Dave's stuff. The whole first half of the scene is Dave before Alison comes out, and you were just running around having fun that day.
Yeah, I drank a strong her coffee,
Don't-
doing bits with the crew.
You don't give her a coffee afternoon, she turned into a little gremlin, and she was just bouncing off the walls while I'm like trying to like vibrate my foot to like drag me down the hall, and I'm getting these like calf cramps that last for days, and she's just
dancing around. I will say, well, I have a couple things to say. One is I would like to highlight my favorite contribution of mine to the film, which I only like to tell people after they've seen the movie, is that in the hallway sequence, before Dave pulls up his shirt, you know, I'm behind the monitor with Michael, and he's like, it feels like we know that when he pulls the shirt up, we're gonna do a VFX and we're gonna see his stomach moving. It feels like we should see the shirt moving prior. What should we do? And I was like, I got this. And I just like ran into the hall, slid under camera, put my hand under Dave's shirt, and that's what's in the movie. Indie filmmaking, baby.
If we zoomed out in you were just seeing Alison's wrist.
Yeah.
But that scene was like a compliment to kind of everything. We had contortionists, we had wire work on both of you, we had to kind of bring in, you know, the chrome balls, and then we had dots of your arms for the CGI kind of hand shots.
And that seems a mix of the different styles of physicality that I feel like we were employing in this movie, you know, because this is not like a slasher film where we're running away from someone. The monster of the movie is inside our own bodies. So like Dave was saying, the tension, that ended up a lot of the time being the thing that was really exhausting. Yes, then we got to thrash around and do like really take big swings, but like Dave said, it was like a cramp in his foot, a cramp in his leg, us, you know, sometimes we had wires to give us tension that we were pulling against, but most of the time it was just us being like, I can't reach, or, you know, I'm fighting it.
And then there was more fucked up days where, you know, pretty much every single day we were doing something physically taxing. And so I remember, you know, during doing the shower scene, and in that scene, fully nude, my character's unconscious, and I am flinging my limp body against these porcelain walls, and I can't brace myself because I'm unconscious. So that's me throwing my face as hard as I can, and it fucking hurts. But we were having so much fun, and we were so excited about the footage we were getting, and it just felt like something, at least for us, we were like, I just feel like people haven't seen anything quite like this, and our excitement kind of superseded any pain we were feeling.
Yeah, it was very exciting to just like look at the footage at the end of the day. And it's so much better today for that shower scene. We had a stunt double on standby the whole time, basically next to us to the monitor, just nude but with a towel around his waist, being like, I guess the actors do this. We didn't have to use it once.
All right, okay, this is a safe space, so their answer does not leave this room, it's just between all of us. On a scale of 1 to Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, what was the level of on-production, like, liabilities and injuries we're talking here?
I mean,
Actually, no injuries. Lots of bruises.
Dave was fully bruised all over, and we have a collage of photos. Like every night of the shoot, I would take a picture of a new bruise on Dave's naked body, and that's how we would spend our evenings.
This isn't a very funny answer, but a truthful answer is we were only, well, we shot this like a couple of years ago now. We had to do COVID tests every day, the 3 of us, because, or like heads of department had to. And our budget was so tight. I was talking to Mike Cow, one of the main producers on this film, the other day, about how lucky we were that neither of you got COVID. Because if one of you had, we would have had to shut down, and I think it might have actually killed the movie.
We really were so conscious of this while shooting, and the truth is that Dave and I, when we shoot stuff anyway these days, we're not like partying on the weekends, but especially on this movie for exactly that reason. I mean, our heads were hitting the pillows so hard every night because the shoot was exhausting, but truly on the weekends we'd be like, dinner at 5, you know, watch a movie on our laptop and put ourselves to bed.
We want to talk injuries, more injuries. Yeah, so seems like a simple stunt, climbing out of that cave, but that rope was so small, and it's not like, you know, in gym class you got those big thick ropes, easy. Small rope, not easy, but I was like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get as high as I can. So I did the first take, I got pretty high, and it come down, and my hands are just like, you know, light blood coming, but I was like, got it. And then Shanks comes over. Shanks comes over and he's like, one of the crew members' shadows was in the shot? Another take. So I took a moment, was like, alright, fuck it, let's do it. And so I did another take, and this time I came down gushing blood. I had 9 bandages on my palms for the next week.
It was one of the very final thing we shot gave me a small insight into how much torture we were putting you guys through, because we did the whole shoot and then there was like a tiny day, like a half day where we just got like little pickups, and there's a scene where Dave is stuck to the cave floor kind of at the end, and we like literally super glued and drilled a jacket into this cement floor, and you were just like wiped, and I was like, I'll do it. I'll be the close-up of the arms and the jacket. Firstly, too big for the jacket, but whatever. And then I like slide into it, and I do like one take of me just going, whatever, and I was like, I'm fucking dying. And I said to you, because you were kind of directing
It was very satisfying for me.
I was like, oh, this is hard, and you were like, you fucking think.
We're gonna have time for a couple of audience questions, but before we do that, I just got one last thing I gotta ask about, and that's the ending. I've been calling this, I gotta make sure I got this in my notes, I wanna make sure I pronounce this right. I've been calling the thing that we see at the end, Ali Gay Frank Brie, right? Because it really does seem like it's this kind of equal amalgamation of the two of you. So I'm curious, how much of that was a practical effect, how much of that was the actors, how much of that was the effects, and how you and your team came up with the person that answers the door, that is the kind of child.
We do have a name for that character.
We call him Tilly. Obvious, Tim and Millie.
Tim and Millie became Tilly, and it was a mixture of both of you guys. Alison is the bass. So
I was the bass.
So you were the bass. We're looking at Alison.
Dave was the bass.
Good night.
Yeah.
Listen to Ace of Base. No, that's honest. So it's Alison in a wig with makeup. The makeup team recreated Dave's eyebrows.
Yes.
Stuck them on.
Shoulder pads.
Shoulder pads. You've got it's Alison's eyes, but with Dave's eye color because we put contacts on it.
CGI my nose, my mouth.
Dave's nose, mouth, jaw, Adam's apple.
Well, to split hairs. It's not CGI. It's you. We did film Dave recreating the motion with dots in space. So it's a composite. It's nothing's generated in 3D, but it's visual effects. They cut all that out and stuck it on Alison's face essentially.
The one thing we're upset about in the film is Tilly isn't very attractive.
I disagree. All right, we have time for a couple of questions. There's not microphones, so speak from the diaphragm. You, sir, go ahead.
I'm just wondering about the song choice.
Yeah,
Song choice.
The song choice of Two Become One. It was in the script. It was early on. I thought I knew always it was going to be a transformation where they kind of succumb to one another, and then I thought, wouldn't it be great if it were like a song, like a kind of a dance, like a sort of first dance, and I kind of wrote like a placeholder song, which was This Guy's in Love with You by Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass Band was the first thing that came to mind. And then a week later I was like, oh, we've got to be Two Become One by the Spice. I was like, of course. And I loved that song growing up. Like my sister and I used to dance to that in our basement in New Zealand. And we didn't get the rights to the song until the day we shot.
I was about to say the hardest part of the movie was getting the rights to that song, and you have to get all of the Spice Girls to approve, all of their producers.
We about 10 or 11 people that we needed to sign off on it.
Alison and I, we happen to have a vintage Spice Girl shirt that we may or may not share, and we were sending pictures of Alison in the shirt to just show them we are true fans. But we didn't get the rights until like the night before we shot the scene.
Yeah, it was touch and go, but there was no backup. Like we didn't have a backup. I wasn't gonna put Robert Palmer's like that wouldn't have worked. It was just like no matter what, we're gonna shoot the scene and just hope that even afterwards we could convince them. But luckily that it came in the day before. One of the Spice Girls was the holdout. I will not reveal the
I bet you I can guess who. Go right ahead, go ahead.
If they move into the supernatural house, would it still be together? Like relationship-wise?
Oh, snap, that's a good
That's a
question.
really good question.
If they did not move into the supernatural house, would they still be together?
Like had they stayed in the city, would their relationship have survived? Well, perhaps not. Like maybe it was you know, it's probably a relationship that was in a bit of a holding pattern, I think, that was maybe too comfortable in the groove of their relationship based on something, and maybe needed something to, I don't know, promote some change, promote some more honesty and openness between the two.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like it's the challenges they face through this movie, and that's a light way of putting what these characters are going through, that give them that, they sort of reinforce that initial connection that they might have had romantically. They get that, obviously, as they're fighting it physically, it ends up happening emotionally, because you start to realize, oh, these people, they've just gone so far from one another. Ultimately, they do love each other. When they are tasked with something and they work together, they can be great together. So I think if they hadn't encountered this mysterious force, I don't think they would be together.
And do you think we could have